Alright, Mike. You're our last pilot, and everything rests on you. Mutha ships are swarming the sector, and we need you to evade the enemy in order to get to them, and then get back to us. Understood. This'll be a tricky one. What are the coordinates for my destination? Just get to them, and then get back to us. Right, but I'll need the coordinates. Those are the coordinates. Us and them? That's right. Navigate to them, then navigate to us. No wonder we're losing this war. Welcome to Mike's Gaming Gala. I'm Mike, and this week we're looking at Cube Quest for the Vectrex. This version was published by VectrexMulti.com. It comes in a professionally printed box with a manual, screen overlay, and a new injection molded cartridge. The author of Cube Quest, Paul Newell, stresses that we really shouldn't consider this a game, but rather more of a tech demo, with a veneer of a game on top of it. So with that understanding, we're looking at more or less a prototype. Let's see how it plays. Powering up our system, and after the splash screen, we're greeted with a simple screen where we can choose what game we want with the 2 and 3 buttons. This adjusts the amount of enemy ships, or Muthas, that will be in the area. Then, pressing 4 advances you to choose whether you want to play with 1 or 2 controllers. You can play either version, and the game is actually quite different depending on which option you choose. Doing nothing or pressing a button on the first controller will select a 1-controller game. Pressing any button on the second controller, though, will start a dual controller game. We'll look at both versions, but first, let's look at how things play with a single controller. Getting into the action, we're placed on a playfield that consists of a cube that's divided into 8 smaller cubes. But really, it's best to view this as a single cube intersected by panels, and everywhere that the panels intersect form a point that you can move to. The goal of the game is very simple. Get from the corner of the cube marked us to the corner marked them, and then make it back again without letting any enemies touch you. This is done in turns. Each turn you have to choose where your ship, as represented by the only thing that looks like a ship on screen, is going to. Moving the joystick will position a square on screen to all the points that you could possibly move to. Once you've decided on a destination, pressing the 4 button will refresh the cube with you at the point that you decided on in order to start the next turn. You can only move your ship to adjacent points. You'll have to navigate your movement through multiple turns in order to accomplish your mission. Sadly, it isn't quite that easy though. Enemies, called Muthas, are represented on the cube by X's, and they'll be after you. They have the same movement rules that you do, and every time you lock in your move and refresh the cube, you'll notice that they have moved as well. They're going to try and trap you, and if at any time you move and a Mutha moves to the same space, it'll be game over, saying at the top of the screen, Mutha destroys player. At first, this seems like it would be easy. But it really isn't. Don't worry though, you've got a couple tricks up your sleeve that'll help. Once per turn, you can rotate one of the planes in the cube. In a 1-controller game, pressing the 2 button will rotate one of the planes that the cube is comprised of at random. If any ships are on the plane that rotates, they'll rotate with it, including yours. This can be beneficial, helping you get out of a tough situation, but if the wrong plane moves, it could make things more difficult for you. If one of the outside planes that contains a point with us or them on it, the us and them stay where they are. They're the only things in the playfield that are fixed. If you successfully manage to navigate your way to your destination and back, you're rewarded with a mission completed message at the top of the screen. In order to accomplish this, I found that just being patient and waiting for a lucky rotation is usually your best bet. If you try and force it, you're gonna get caught. Completely different, however, is the 2-controller version of the game. Lucky for me, I happen to have this massive arcade stick for the Vectrex. So let's check it out on dual controller mode. When using 2 controllers to play, the manual says that the game is far more challenging than in the single controller variation. In fact, I'd say that once you understand what you're doing, it's far easier. There are 3 pages of instructions for playing a dual game, including how to view the radar and rotate the entire cube in order to get a good look at things. However, while the goal here is the same, the majority of the control instructions are associated with your newfound ability to select which plane, or as the game calls them, rube, to rotate, and how. It can be confusing, as now you're dealing with 8 buttons and their combinations. However, now you can rotate as many planes as you like on any given turn. Honestly, while fun to figure out, this ability kind of breaks the game. As long as you know what you're moving, all you need to do is make sure you're on a corner, and you can rotate yourself to the goal and back. You don't really even have to move if you don't want to. Like I said, it's fun, but ultimately, no challenge at all. And that's QQuest for the Vectrex. So what did I think? Well, when you look at it in the context of a prototype, I actually think it's pretty fun. I like the cat and mouse feeling of avoiding all the muthas, and in the 1 controller version of the game, the anticipation of which pane is going to rotate, holding your future in the balance, is pretty cool. If the 2-player game had the same 1 rotation restriction, I think it would be the ultimate way to play. But sadly, that isn't the case. Still cool as a tech demo though. Obviously, as a prototype, there's a lot that could be done to make this more entertaining to play. Music and sound effects would be huge, and animations of the ships moving, instead of just refreshing the cube each turn, would go a long way. All that said, I quite enjoyed the tactical gameplay here. It's definitely worth checking out. Thank you for watching my video, I hope you liked it, and thank you so much to my channel members. I appreciate your support so much. As always, my contact info is in the description, and we'll see you next time on Mike's Gaming Gala.